This is a mega truck. It can hold 3 to 4 times the amount a regular truck can hold, all while being a lot more maneuverable because you can go backwards easily without unwanted turning, which you can't really do when you're using trailers on your hitch instead. And because of the different weight distribution, you can drive this thing off a cliff and pretty much never end up flipped upside down. I've made a video on this truck before a little bit ago, but the original design started breaking half of the time after a random update. Luckily, I have now found a way to fix that, so I am making this updated video to show you all how to build the updated version. Now, before you begin building, you're going to want to make sure that you have all of the required materials laid out on your base, starting out with a Val's all-purpose hauler spawner, aka a long truck spawner. You're also going to want to make sure that you have 2 531 hauler spawners, aka long trailer spawners. And then in terms of logic, you're going to need 5 wires, 1 button, and those 2 can just be purchased from What Are Us, but then you're going to need a signal delay, which you can only get at Link's Logic, which you'll need to take a ride on the ferry to get to. Link's Logic should be located around about there, and you're going to need to pay 400 lumber bucks both ways. So just plan on that if you don't already have a signal delay on your base. In total, that is all going to cost you 46,865 lumber bucks, although it is likely that you already have some of the spawners on your base. So if that is the case, it'll be a lot cheaper for you. And then you're going to want to make sure that you have the large floor blueprint, the tiny floor blueprint, and the large tile blueprint in your blueprint book. You don't need to fill any of these in. These are just going to be just guides to make sure that you're placing everything in the perfect place, because vehicle welding does rely on very specific placements, so you're going to want to make sure that you follow along very closely. So begin by placing down your Val's all-purpose hauler where you want your mega truck. I think right here is going to be good for me. And then I'm just gonna place down 3 tiny floor blueprints on both sides of this Val's all-purpose hauler spawner, and these are just going to show you where to place the trailer spawners once we are ready for that. But before we place in the trailer spawners, take a large floor blueprint and place it on the side of the long truck spawner. The specific placement isn't super important, just eyeball it, make sure that it is placed against the side of the large truck spawner. And you're going to want to do the exact same thing on the other side. Once again, the specific placement isn't super important, just make sure that it's at least similar, and do make sure that it is touching the side of the spawner. So just like that, I got both sides in. I'm going to place another one on top of each of those, and then I'm just going to turn and rotate that, and then place another large floor 1 stud back from the other large floor. So just place that on top, 1 stud back, same on the other side. As you guys can see, 1 grid mark back, and then I'm just going to take a large tile blueprint and place it against both of those. And now you want to make sure that you check for any gaps, make sure that there are no gaps underneath these large floor blueprints. If it isn't flush with the ground, it might not work, so just make sure everything is placed in perfectly. And now you're going to want to take one of your 531 hauler spawners and place it against the tiles, so make sure that the button is closest to the front of the spawner, and also make sure that the front of the trailer spawner is in line with the small floors that you placed earlier. And you're also going to want to make sure that when you place it, that right there is all in line and everything is flush. Make sure that the spawner is not placed like 1 stud up. Everything should be flush, and that should be in line right there. Now you're going to want to do the exact same thing on the other side, so just rotate twice and then turn twice, and then just place this in. It's a little bit harder to do this because the camera angle is a little bit different, but just like that, I've got that in. Make sure that is in line as always, and that there are no gaps. There we go, everything is perfect. Now we can go ahead and start destroying all of our guide blueprints, and do be careful while you're destroying these guide blueprints. You want to make sure that you don't accidentally destroy one of the spawners, because that would be an expensive mistake to make. So I've just gone ahead and got all of those destroyed. We don't need them anymore, those were just for placement. Now you're going to want to take your signal delay and you're going to want to make sure that you place it out of the way of the mega truck. So when you're driving the mega truck out, you're going to want to make sure that it's going to be out of the way. I'm just going to place it right here. This is a good spot. You're also going to want to make sure that it is at the smallest delay. If it isn't, you're going to have to just adjust the delay until you get up to the very highest point, and then just click it one more time, and as you guys can see, that is the smallest delay. And then you're just going to want to take your button, place it somewhere around here. Doesn't really matter, but this is just going to be a convenient place to have it. And then I'm just going to place a wire connecting the button over to the signal delay. Now you can have this button anywhere. You could have it halfway across the base if you wanted to, but that is what you're going to use to activate and spawn the mega truck. So now I'm going to take another wire and take it from the output of the signal delay over to the long truck spawner. Very simply like that. And then I'm going to take another wire and then connect it from the input of the signal delay over to about here. Also, do make sure that the signal delay arrow is facing this way, so make sure that the signal delay arrow right here is facing away from the button. But anyways, now you're just going to want to connect your wire up to the trailer right here, and make sure that this wire is as out of the way of everything as possible. You don't want this to get in the way of the trailer. In fact, if you want to make sure everything is as out of the way as possible, you just want to place this against the very side of the button, and that's going to make it so there's going to be a much smaller chance of the wire getting in the way as you're driving out. So there's that one, and then you're just going to want to take your remaining couple wires and just hook up the other one. Now you're not going to be able to get it all the way, but I'm just going to place it to there. And then finally take your remaining wire and just hook it from the output of that wire over to the side of the other button. And just like that, your mega truck spawner is complete. And let's go ahead and test it out. Just press this button, and as you guys can see, it spawns. Now sometimes this wheel will just start turning, so that will make it a little bit weird to drive out, but you can usually drive out backwards just fine. And then if you still have problems, you can always just move one of the trailers and then drive out sideways, and then press B, of course, to cancel that so that you don't actually ruin the spawner. But yeah, that is the mega truck. Something cool that you can do is while you're loading the mega truck, just open these tailgates of the trailers on the sides, and then you can go ahead and start putting in all of your wood. And then once you've loaded your truck up, you can just close those tailgates, and they'll keep a little bit of the wood on the sides nice and secure. Now the ones in the middle are still prone to fall out of the truck while you're accelerating or stopping really fast, but for the most part it shouldn't be too big of an issue. As you guys can see, I can just get up to full speed and all of the wood is staying in just fine. But yeah guys, that's gonna pretty much do it for the mega truck. If you're looking for more custom vehicles that you can build, I would definitely recommend the vault truck. You can put whatever you want inside of this vault truck and then just close this tailgate right here, and then it completely seals everything off and makes it so it will not fall out no matter how hard you try, which is awesome and really convenient if you're tired of things falling out of your truck. This thing will definitely be super useful. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video once it's out. See ya!